I wanted to thank Peg Alfred Purcell and Why There Are Words, the many folks who have been on staff over the years and who are on staff now, for being a series that supports writers as they grow. I've had the pleasure of reading here in the past, long before my chapbook, Our Day in the Labyrinth, was a twinkle in my eye, as my mother says. And not every series takes that risk or makes that investment. And so I'm really grateful for that. And I'm just thrilled to come back and share my new success with this wonderful community. So I have a few poems to share with you. And there are several in the interview that are quoted, not in their entirety, but some of the nuggets from those are quoted. So I'm only going to read one poem that's substantially quoted in the interview. So if you like what you hear here, of course I hope to pick up a chapbook, but if that's not right for you, check out the interview and you can get some more. I'm going to start with Studia Intima, which is the first in the collection. And this is in the form of a dictionary definition. Studia Intima, noun, plural. The devotion of time and attention to systematic observation, measurement, and analysis of discrete physical phenomena, embodiments of specific intimacies, usually on an amateur basis, for the purpose of establishing a contemplative and preliminary broader theory of intimacy, as in, I hold this pair of coiled carrots to the lamp with one hand, hold my other hand to that light. Fingers and carrots glow the same pinkish orange. Like the tips of my fingers, the root ends of the carrots, when studied this way, seem to contain no inner structure at all, just a little space for trapping the blaze. And when I pry them apart, I must pry them apart, there's another record of Earth's desire, each life twisting in the same direction, bright and smooth where the other went missing. Compositions designed as technical exercises in intimacy, rooms used or designed for such work. Forgive me, I'm standing on a weird spot in the floor, so I'm just gonna do that. Okay, so I'm going to read a poem that some of it will probably feel very familiar to all of us in California. This is called Incoming. And this poem, I'll tell you about it afterward. Incoming. The helicopter first presents itself as pure tones, open fifth, flying from the south toward our sun-beaten house. This is not a metaphor. I sing a scale to test it. Just as my own voice reaches, so there it is, the helicopter itself, in my line of sight. And now, too close. Its own sound bounces back at it off dry streets, and this mix of rooftops, the source interval, collapsing, and its shadow, Doppler shifting fingerprint, collision, and scatter, someone's setting fire every Friday to the riverbank in our neighborhood. I'm almost getting used to it. We have every kind of drought here. And so that's a poem, maybe you can't see it, but it tries to be what Doppler scatter is on the page. So it begins not as a prose poem, but as long lines, and then it falls apart and starts colliding into itself for the writers in the room. All right, this is a new poem. Vasovagal syncope. A sudden drop in heart rate and blood pressure reduces blood flow to the brain, resulting in brief loss of consciousness. Occurs in some people when they are exposed to, among other things, severe threat or trauma, or triggers of memories known or lost thereof. When the voice says worthless, apparatus, something rubbery to be used. The body puts the mind to sleep somewhere else, somewhere safe-ish from, for instance, the man who brought you to his house, who is always already bringing you to his house. While the mind sleeps, the body lays its head down violently on the first surface gravity provides. Crack. Another cut to the forehead, another opening. The body gets low, waits for the man to finish that ugly eternal business with his hands, your mouth, and something else. But the body can't keep the mind asleep forever. The body doesn't want to die. After a few flat moments, you've fallen sweaty between the potted cabbage cactus and the African daisy. Your mind returns to itself. Though your eyes remain dilated, searching, and savaged, my fingers look so small, like someone else's, wiping away the blood. How many hours of days have I spent as cradle to your bruising skull? Here's one of my nods to our theme. Some of these are indirect. This is a fairly direct nod. This is a non-sonnet. So this is a poem that is in 14 lines that follows very religiously the rhetorical structure of a sonnet, but it is not in iambic pentameter and it is not rhymed. And I think I read it here once before, so a couple of you may recognize it. Celibate. I thought celibate was a kind of fish. And that's from a poem called Lineage by Jeffrey McDaniel. If celibate was a kind of fish, it would be achingly beautiful. It would be heavy, a little wide, like tuna, but with fins that reach for many yards underwater, like those of angelfish or lionfish. Thin flesh would split and split again into narrowing ribbons. The celibate would live miles beneath the surface, in darker than darkness, among thermal vents and giant squid. These celibates would glow, their small lanterns blinking back at them from faraway tips of scintillant streamers, fireflies in the night of another world. There, they invite us to stop, watch the way those torches join and separate, the way they reach for every moving thing. Deepness ends. There's no place to go but in. The celibate's lights map cities in which we've never loved, map the places on our bodies left untouched. Such radiant flesh could taste like all we've wanted, but we cannot catch it, cannot hook in the dark the thing that finally lures us. And I have a couple more. I'm going to read the title poem now, and this is for Linda. Our Day in the Labyrinth. Those roses you cut for me, reflexive gesture, they interrupted, full of wolf spiders. Their perfume recalled the smell of orange spoon sweets the Cretan woman served, her slow fingers moving from cupboard knob to drawer. We were angry, but about what? Her ancient husband carried the white plate out with both hands, open jar and tiny spoons tinkling against each other. It was thick syruped. It stuck in our throats, a bitter orange grace. It was what they could give us, what they must have thought we needed. And I have one more new poem. And this is in the form of the haibun. And a haibun is alternating sections of haiku and prose. And it's actually a really old Japanese form. What is old is new again, right? So I'm going to vary the way I express the two different forms so that hopefully you can hear the difference. This is called Closer. Why should these lesser goldfinches land on spade-shaped sunflower leaves? Outside of Klein's music, Friday traffic whizzes by 6 lanes wide. A young guy, 20-something, plays a cello. It's May, warm day, but the sun's starting to set, and the air carries within it a suggestion of delta water. The cellist sits on a curb. I can't hear what he's playing. I'm inside my car in the next parking lot over, engine running, and I'm on the phone. But why should they be so light, their bodies bending only the smallest branches? I can tell he's working a short passage, 6 or 8 notes maybe, over and over. A man on a bicycle stops to watch or listen or both. He stays there, straddling the stopped bike for some minutes. The cellist never looks at the man, never looks up from his instrument. He just keeps playing over and over, tenderly down, not perfect, but closer. Thank you.